Ici, on est sur les vignobles Günther-Chèreau. C'est un domaine familial dans le Muscadet Sèvre avec des parcelles qui sont réparties sur 3 communes. Ici, on est au Château du Coing sur la commune de Fiacre. On a aussi des parcelles à Gorge avec le château de la Gravelle et également à Monière avec la Cormeraie. En tout, on a 75 hectares. Voilà, et on ne fait que des blancs, on ne fait que des muscadets, un tout petit peu de chardonnay et un tout petit peu de folle blanche également. Donc l'idée, c'est certes monocépage. Principalement, on ne travaille vraiment qu'avec du melon de Bourgogne, mais c'est de mettre en valeur les différents terroirs qu'on peut avoir, soit sur les différentes communes, mais aussi des terroirs qui sont différents, qui sont dus à des pentes, des expositions et donc des sélections parcellaires différentes. À savoir qu'en fonction de l'âge des vignes, en fonction des coteaux, en fonction des terroirs, donc j'ai cité le gneiss, le gabbro, le mica schiste, on va avoir des typologies différentes. Alors ici, le gneiss au Château du Coing, ça va faire plutôt des vins qui vont être sur le côté minéral, mais floral également. En général, c'est assez élégant. Sur Gorge, on est sur des vins qui sont un petit peu plus tendus, vraiment sur ce qu'on appelle la minéralité, à savoir vraiment le côté pierre à fusil, citronné, parfois un peu pétrolé aussi et beurré quand ça se garde. Et puis sur la Cormeraie à Monière, là les mica schistes apportent beaucoup plus de chaleur et de fruits, un peu plus fruits blancs ou jaunes. On travaille depuis, j'ai envie de dire, des décennies avec des partenaires qui peuvent être la Scandinavie, qui peuvent être le Japon, qui sont aussi les États-Unis, l'Europe du Nord. Donc voilà, on recherche en fait aussi un contact humain et une belle rencontre pour vraiment travailler dans le même sens, la promotion de nos muscadets. On est vraiment dans une dynamique commerciale export. On passe sur les salons, notamment Provine, le salon des vins de Loire, mais on fait aussi Wine Paris, millésime bio. On vous attend au domaine. En fait, quand on vend du muscadet, vous voyez ici nos terroirs avec les pentes, les expositions. Ici, on est à côté du confluent, ce qui favorise donc ces coteaux, exposés sud entre autres. Ça vous permet de comprendre un petit peu l'histoire du vignoble nantais. Voilà, on vend tout ça en fait dans une bouteille. On cherche vraiment à rencontrer nos clients.
Hej hej och god eftermiddag allesammans och välkommen till säsongsfinalen i Vinosus Vinsnakk. Det här är uke 21 och efter idag så ska vi ta sommarferie och ett litet uppehåll. Idag så har jag med mig i studion Runar Nikolaisen som är produktchef i Vinum. Hej Runar!
Hej Kerstin! Tack! Väldigt hyggligt att vara tillbaka.
Kul att du komma tillbaka.
Alltid.
Idag så ska vi inte på så lång resa. Vi har ju varit lite runt om i världen och idag så ska vi hålla oss i Europa. Vi ska till Frankrike och Loire och Muscadet närmare bestämt. Vi ska säga välkommen till Aurore. Hello Aurore, how are you doing?
I'm really fine. I'm really happy to be with you tonight.
It's great to have you.
Thank you.
You are the newest generation of Véronique Günther-Chéreau, or we call it VGC because it's a quite big name for a wine producer.
Yes.
Could you please start with introducing yourself a little bit? I know that you have been many times in the market and your mother also many times, but a little introduction to who Aurore is would be great.
I've always been the daughter of my mother since past 40 years now, but I'm I've decided to arrive officially, at the estate for the vintage, for the harvest 2011. Before, did a lot of things. I was more interested by chemistry and perfume industry.
Okay.
But for many reasons, and also independence, I knew quite everything already about wine, and so arriving here was for me being able to directly do something and not trying to find a job in an industry that is quite closed. I wanted to be to invest myself, but also to be independent. What a lot of people want that. So I had the chance to do this also at the estates, and also working the tasting, the taste of the wine was kind of coherent also with what I liked. And I had also all the past studying with chemistry, with enology then, because then I did an enology diploma in Dijon in Burgundy. So we could say I arrived in a way by the opposite on what I'm doing now. So I arrived thanks to the marketing, the communication at the estates, but am more now keen on, of course, always the harvest, the wine making, but also the parcels, the organic conversion. Mechanic also. So I'm also evolving in my personal way in the company. So I'm here now since this year, officially since 10 years now. So yeah.
It's a really fun parallel, this thing with perfume, I think, with wine, because you have a lot of similarities when it comes to training, and especially maybe the mental part of wine tastings and things like that.
Yes. And I think I thought the perfume is different because you have a combination and you want to go to this smell, as it's exactly the opposite here, because you have the terroir you've got and then you've got the smell. So you are more in a way passive, or you just in a way harvest the smell that the terroir gives you. So it's the opposite way of working, but it's really connected. Yes.
Mm. So who would you say of because the estate have your mother's name, correct?
Yes.
Is it still your mother who's the boss, or are you leading the company now?
Oh no, she is the boss. I think definitely she's going to, like my grandfather did. I think it's making her alive. So it means that if she's stopping, it's not going to be really good news for her. So I think, yeah, I think for her it's something really, but I can't really say I'm not giving my part. It's false, because when I arrived, first of all, I said that if I arrive, we should begin an organic conversion. So we've begun the organic conversion. Well, they did it 1 year before I arrived, and now we are still continuing this. Moreover, we are more and more working also on, in a way, more modern way of winemaking in terms of machines also, and really, what is the longest part that is taking me more and more time is really the work in the parcels, because we are working the soils, and so we need to have the nice machine, the nice people, the good people for working on it with us. So it's really taking a long of time to change the way of working and the way of thinking of people working with us. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not just we decide to be organic, so this is like that. I mean, we need also to convert people working with us, doing it and believing in it. As I have to say, it's just, for example, 2 years ago, there's an employee that left that was working and he began with my grandfather. I mean, it's just to there is a generation, only not only me and my mother, but also for people in the vines and people working with us. So it's yes, it's always working on it, and it's a nice challenge, really.
Yeah. Can I ask you, why was it important for you to turn into organics?
Because it's just normal. I prefer to repeat that my advantage of my wines are the terroir. Being organic is just a base. It's just how to say. I mean, I'm not judging what has been done before, but in every job you need to move on and to evolve. And so we don't know what is going to be, how it's going to be critical, the organic agriculture in 20 years. We don't know. But if we don't do anything, we know that it's going to be wrong. And doing and having the label organic, it's just to say we move on. It's not saying we are making a better wine. It's just, maybe it's just a transition too. I don't know if we're going to stand just at organic, but I think from the beginning of the conversion 10 years ago now, and we're still converting, because 75 hectares is quite long. We take our time, but maybe we're going to move to something more biodynamic, or I don't know, or something else. But it's just moving. It's just a natural evolution. It's not something that is to promote the wines directly.
So for
it's
you,
just
it's
that I'm a consumer too. I'm producer, but consumer too, and this is normal to be organic. I don't know how to say this differently.
No, but it's important for you with sustainability and to preserve our environment for the future and for your children.
Yes, of course. Because if you don't protect the terroir neither, then it's a contradiction too.
Yeah. But maybe you could tell us a little bit about the area that you're in, because I can maybe foresee that it's a little bit tricky to turn organic in your area. Or has it been easy for you?
Well, I mean, so we are next to Nantes, so next to the ocean. And so it's a little bit humid, so yeah, it has been a challenge to begin this, but also we have the chance, even if it's humid. We are not in the south of France. The soils are quite easy still to work. It was the big question, for example, for the Château du Coing. We are beginning to convert the Château du Coing on 8 hectares this year. And we are very on the slope. It's not like the mountains, but you know, when you are working the soil on tractors and it's raining so much, and that you have to be stable on it as you are moving all the soil, so you can swap a bit. So it can be really, really dangerous. And sometimes, depending on how the rows are planted, sometimes it can be a small challenge. So we've decided to still do this. And this year,
we have a lot of water, so everything is green. The challenge is now accepted also in the head of everyone. So it's just a question of timing, and yeah, it's a challenge also because 75 hectares, it's really huge. But we have the chance also to get a great variety, the melon de Bourgogne, that is not really, well, Chardonnay is growing faster, so we can more focus on soil than focus on cutting the leaves or anything like that. So in a way, it's positive also. So yeah, for example, yeah, I'm not seeing so much drawbacks, technically drawbacks on it. It's just that also we need to be more better in mechanic also, because there are always problems of mechanic. But this is another challenge. You learn other things every day, so it's nice. No, I think that we really mentally are already at the estate to go that direction, and for us, it's done.
Cool. This estate, 75 hectares, is, as you said, quite huge. Has it always been in your family this size, or did you recently grow into such an important amount?
Well, this is difficult to answer because my family has been in the Muscadet, it is said, since the 14th century. So,
Wow.
of course, we didn't get all of this before. My grandfather bought the Château du Coing in 73 with the vineyard around. But my mother completed the vineyard to get also the historical vineyards, and so that now counts, well, for the Château du Coing, historically counts 35, 38 hectares. But we bought quite recently, just some years ago, some parcels in neighbor village, in two ones, in Foissière and in Meudon. So we count them in the Château du Coing because it's vinified there. So now we are at 45. I don't really want to grow it. I would prefer to decrease a little. I would prefer I would love to on some parcels to maybe not only do wine and balance a little bit with some trees, so could have a nice balance also on the global ecology of the terroirs. But 75 hectares also because then we've got 30 hectares in Gorges that have always been, it is said, like a legend, in the family, because my grandparents were from this village, and so they just recovered the parcels of all the cousins and everything, and so now it's making 30 hectares. So more or less, yes, it's. I think it's more my grandfather that really decided to do it in a more professional way. He decided to get huge spots of parcels, so it has been easier to work also, and has really invested in aging Muscadet, as my mother invested also in village appellations. So this is why also we bought some parcels in neighbor villages. So yeah, it's quite a long time ago, but.
Yeah, you explained very briefly in the video a little bit about the different soil in the different areas. Could you go a little bit deeper into that?
Yes. Well, if you're looking on the, this is a Kness. Well, we have two different wineries in a way. We have two different presses. One in Gorges and one in the Château du Coing. In the Château du Coing, we have mostly the gneiss soil. This is a gradient. I mean, it's going from gneiss from the corner at the confluence, and to Monnières, it's going then to Mica-Schiste. So we can't say it's directly gneiss here and Mica-Schiste there, but this is the trend. And on Gorge, we are on gabbro soil. Gabbro is because Mica-Schiste and gneiss, well, more people know them. So this is gabbro, and gabbro is brown. It's full of iron, and it's really deep. You can't see any. Well, in French, we say we don't see any sheets in it. So we just don't see any lines in the stone. So we see it's really deep and we can't break it. So in a way, it's a kind of rustic soil, as here it's more on mica-schist. It's not making the same wine. In a way, I'm saying that the most rustic the soil is, the most rustic the Muscadet is going to be. And so it means that for me, the more rustic it is, so it means more mineral and more straight. And for the stones like mica-schist that are more degraded, we are more on really fruity notes, floral notes too. And of course, the comparison is possible for the same vintage, because we don't blend any cuvée or any parcel. So of course, then we get vintage effects. Well, and I know it can be a bit complicated to understand, but the card, so the number 2, if you can zoom on this photo a little bit, then you will. It's important to re-explain that, first of all the blue lights, more or less dark and totally dark, this is all Muscadet, and this counts around 7,000 hectares nowadays.
Wow.
And it's just to give a comparison, Sancerre is just a village. So really 7,000 hectares is really huge. And you have 3 AOC, basic AOC, we could say Côte de Grandlieu, so next to the lake of Grandlieu, more on the left, on the light blue. More up on the middle dark blue, you have the other one that is the second one, that is Château de Loire, and the most historical one in which we are is the Sèvre, because we are around the confluence of the Sèvre and the Maine, and indeed it is directly in front of our castle, the Château du Coing. Because even if with the times the G at the end has been added, that then means the Queens, actually the historical name is the Castle of the Corner. So I know it's history, the way of the pronunciation and of writing names has changed, and translating it is not easy maybe to understand. But we really are at the confluence of it, in front of it. And then exactly, if we zoom now, if we zoom in the dark blue, each village is named, and then you've got in each place a different soil. It's like you were saying, all the Chardonnay in Burgundy, I mean, it's just Chardonnay. Not at all. They have done a real work of parcel and working soils and naming them and working on it. So we don't get this same level, but this is just to understand the way we are going to. Saying that all the Muscadet are the same, it's impossible, because on 7,000 hectares, again, we can't do the same. And moreover, because the great variety Melon de Bourgogne, for me, I think it's a chance for my way of working, but it's not a very strong varietal aromas wine. So then it lets the grape, the grape variety then lets the soil express themselves in the wine. Yes. So it's really important to understand that you've got village appellations, Monnières Saint-Fiacre, you've got Gorge, you've got Clisson, La Fouessière, Château, and etc. And probably you will forget those names, maybe, well, in Paris or less. But the way is just that you understand that you can't have the same wines because you don't get the same soil on it. So maybe the names are not as known as in Meursault because, of course, this work is quite recent in the Muscadet. When I mean recent, it's recent for agriculture and for the vines, but it's just already since a generation that all the vintners are working on it. So it's quite long already, but it still needs more time maybe to get known, even if I think that in 10 years things have a lot changed already.
Yeah, true. And out of these 7,000 hectares, how many of those hectares are planted with Melon de Bourgogne?
In total, we are around 7,000. In general.
Yeah, no, I mean, how much of the vineyards are Melon de Bourgogne?
Yes. Just around 96%. I mean, we have Folle Blanche and we have Chardonnay. So Chardonnay is for Evanpi, and Folle Blanche is the other great variety that is for making another AOC that is naming the same Folle Blanche or Gros Plan. That is quite old name now. But we are doing only whites and at around 96% Melon de Bourgogne. Well, actually, I'm saying Melon de Bourgogne, but I should now say Melon Blanc because this great variety is used to come from Burgundy, but each region is trying to get its identity. So Melon Blanc helps to have no connection with Burgundy, so I prefer to say it, to have no problem. But the way we are running the vines, the place between rows and between each vines, and the way of cutting the grapes, so everything is done like in Burgundy.
Yeah. How old are your vineyards on average?
Yes, maybe this is the type of question I should have prepared. I think, I think we have plots that are really old. We know we will have to replant them one day. What we are seeing here is more like between 65 and 80 years old. We've replanted around 10 hectares in the past years. We are also thinking at which parcels we are going to keep and which ones we are not going to keep. And actually just not to replant. And one day we will have to decide when it's going to be finished because of the meteor of April, because of the humidity, because of sometimes they are quite far from the estate. Well, we try to reorganize it.
But they look very old and impressive on the picture.
Yes. Well, we don't need to compare. It's not like us. They live longer than we do. But also it depends on how you treat them. If you ask them to have a high yield, we are working on quite low yields. Well, the maximum allowed by the appellation is 50 hectoliters per hectare. That is quite, I would say, normal. But if we compare to some other regions, it's just beginning of low. It's like also in Burgundy, it's 50 also. But we are organic, and since that, we are most on 40 hectoliters per hectare. So we are not asking the vines to be so productive, but more concentrated. So it's less tiring the vines also.
And if we would go into a little bit about how you vinify the wines, do you have a philosophy over the different areas and the different estates, or are they different?
No, we are, for us, the base is just having different soils, terroir, and then we work the same, and the same hands are working on all the estates. When we, for example, when we harvest, it's beginning of the winemaking in a way, we begin with the Château du Coing, with the top parcels, because we are slopey, so we are beginning at the top. Then normally, because it's changing, since 10 years, there is no rules really, but normally then we go to gorge, we harvest everything that is then in Monnières and gorge. And then we come back here in at the Château du Coing, but it's the same people working and with the same materials, then machines. And well, globally, the specificity of Muscadet is the aging on lease. I mean, then I prefer to focus then on us, but first of all on the appellation. The specificity is making the wine on lease, so you can see it on the 11th photo, even if it's in a barrel, the photo, because we only vinify in soil tanks that are of course made in concrete, but we covered by glass for the easy working, easy cleaning and everything. So it means that when you enter in our cellars, like in the photo, I think 39, it's just underground. You have a small, just a small door. And for example, Rodolphe was in the tank for cleaning it. But when you arrive by us and everything is closed, then you don't see directly the tank like you can see in some other regions. The advantage of it is that you don't need to control too much temperature, because people think it's a huge contradiction. In Muscadet, making the wine on lees, people imagine it's making light purulent and easy drinking wine, but actually it's really famous and it's done really good also in Burgundy, the aging on lees. It's just that they are not allowed to write it because it's specific from Muscadet. And in Burgundy, it is known, aging on lees, it is known for making it rounder. So there is more scientific explanations on it. It's just that in Muscadet, having dimensions early, it's minimum 6 months, maximum a year. For your comprehension, it's based on the small history that you have to know that AOC, appellations are based on history and habits. And the habits many centuries ago was that vintners used to keep wine for the wedding of their daughter. And so they were already harvesting in September and keeping wine for the spring season or the summer season. So they were keeping it maximum a year. And between 6 months and a year. And so they discovered that the sediments was appearing and also that the wine was better. So based on this, the decree of appellation is saying that for having the mention surely, you need to keep the wine minimum 6 months. And well, now it's 14 months because actually bottling a wine in August, it's quite, it's not good for the quality actually. So you can keep the wine until the next harvest. And it's just from simple to double. And also it depends on how the winemaker is, if he's bringing the lees in suspension in the tank or not. It's changing a lot the wine. So by us, we don't move the lees. We are making no remontage at all. It's just we let it on the bottom of the tank with the wine. It has the advantage to protect also the lees, to protect the wine because they are it's full of reduction. So if you don't move too much the wine, you don't get so much oxidation, and you don't need to add so much sulfites neither. So you keep the terroir and scents and aromas. So by us, we don't move at all, but you could have other producers that move a lot the lees, and the bâtonnage, for example, is really typical in some other regions. And we don't vinify in oak so much. There is just one specific cuvée that is really, really kind of confidential, but most of it, we don't have any oak sense that could hide anything. So we have a really pure, we think, we expect to get a really pure kind of winemaking, having no too much sulfites adding, but in a way, we still want to get the terroir effect and not having a winemaking effect. So it's important to still get it in the wine. Don't know if I'm answering. I think I could add a lot of things, but and then also our specificities is that we never learn how to do wine. So each year is different. And this is something it has really told to me when I did enology, is that we will not teach you how to do wine. We just teach you how to analyze it. So it means that every year is different. Sometimes it's not going the way you want, but you still need to find a solution on how it is. It's making it also alive in a way. So it's a rule that we try to get this way, but everything can change also in a way. Yeah.
Of course. I'm interested in this aging on the surly. Could you explain what happens with the wine after, let's say, 6 months and 14 months? And what if you choose to keep it for 18 months or 20 months? What happens in your wines?
So first of all, to re-explain, the lees are the dead yeast when they have transformed all the alcohol, the sugar into alcohol. So it's dead yeast that fall down in the bottom, and a yeast is just one cell. So it's going to be degraded by the wine because of the alcohol, the acidity. So it means that the cell is beginning to break, and so the major components of the lees is the skin cells of the yeast, and it's full of fat acids. So when we let the wine on the lees, you have an exchange between wine and lees, and the fat acids are going to the wine. Again, we choose not to make bâtonnage. Making bâtonnage would increase this exchange, but for us, it would degrade also the wine with a small oxidation, because when you are aging the wine quite long, and as you're saying, it's from simple to double, so we mostly like to age the wine around a year or 14 months, and on some village appellations, we have to make the wine age minimum 18 or 24 months. We are making around 4 years, and we are making 4 years. So for us, it's really important to have this exchange with the fat acids, this roundness, but having no oxidation at all. And in the glass, it means that when you turn the wine in your glass, sometimes in white wines, you're not expecting this, but you see some tears appearing. And when people see this, of course, they are expecting sugar or alcohol, but it's just the roundness, the fat acids that are now combined with the ethanol. So it's making the glycerol that is making this really roundness. Because for me, in whites, you have 2 or maybe 2.5 dimensions of tastings. You really have, of course, the acidity, because it's the strength of your wine. It's really keeping the wine in mouth. And then you have this glycerol or roundness that is making the aromas in the way turn in your mouth and evolve. And also, I am more and more liking and probably more and more making a wine in this way. It's the bitterness that helps also for the structure, because of course it's warmer and warmer. We have, when my grandfather did wine, it was just naturally maybe 11 or 10.5 degrees of sugar and then alcohol. So now we are 12 or 12.5. So having bitterness is helping between acidity and roundness to have a strength and to keep the wine and give structure to the wine. So the lees are very essential in our appellation, in our wines, because we have this oceanic and acidity natural in the wine, but having the roundness is helping to get more and more aromas in the mouth too.
You mentioned the bitterness, Aurore. Do you think about the bitterness from minerals or bitterness from phenolics from the grapes?
Grapes, from the grapes.
Yep.
Well, this is the one I'm more control, I have to say. But again, maybe this could evolve too. Because on some, sorry.
No, I was just wondering that would you say that this increased aging on the lees also gives your wine an increased longevity?
Oh yes, yes. We are. Since my grandfather, we are known for making aging potential Muscadet. It means that I'm looking at them. They're just through my windows. The vines that are the most slopey here on this image on the left, they are 100 years old. We are asking for them for around 25 hectoliters per hectare. We are making a skin maceration, so the bitterness in that case is coming from the extraction. And we are making, thanks to this skin maceration, the aging also on lees is 14 months. Then we are selling different vintages of this wine. We can, so 2020 is still at the estate, but we are selling the 18. We had 15, 13, we had 2000, 99, and 96. We are not doing this wine. We harvest this parcel at each time. I will re-explain this, but we are not doing this wine at each vintage. We need a potential of aging. So due to the winemaking, for example, with this skin maceration, but if there is no potential in the grapes, there is no miracle, so we're not doing it. So then it will be in a way decreased in the regular Château du Coing. We are, since my grandfather, we are really, really known for this, and my mother. So it's an aging in bottles then, because we keep the mention sur lit. So for example, for making it simple, the 2000 has been bottled in 2001. And since then, it has been aged in our cellars and sold at different times. As for the village appellations like Monnières, Saint-Fiacre or Gorge, the wines are mostly, in a way, kept in the tank and bottled after. And this is the generation of my mother that worked on those village appellations. In a way, it was kind of stupid that sorry to say it so simply, but in 36, when they wrote that we needed to do minimum 6 months, maximum a year of aging on lees, it's quite strict. It's just based on history, and it's impossible to change. And hopefully, when we did the village appellation, having more specific plot and parcels with more terroir identity and getting more aging on lees, it's helping to promote better, I think, the terroir, and to develop something else.
The one you mentioned of 100 years old vines, that's the Côte de Saint-Hubert, right?
Yes. Yeah.
We got a question here from one of our listeners or viewers, from Anne, and she's asking, which one is your favorite wine and vintage?
It's impossible to answer, but it's a question of mood. It's a question of day. It's a question of how you feel. So it can change. I think the Saint-Hubert, the 2018. I'm deeply fan of bitterness right now. So yeah, I want structure, but this is now, just right now. If I was asking you a glass of wine from me, I would ask this, but maybe tomorrow something else, maybe tonight something else. It's really, but Saint-Hubert, it's well, and if my mother was here, she would say that really, apart from the level of appellations I told you with the 3 AOC, we are in the Sèvre, and then you've got the village appellations. For us, the Saint-Hubert is over all of this. If we could work on, like in Burgundy, on really clos, for us, this is a real potential of a clos, but yeah, apart from all my subjectivity and my passion on this terroir, yeah, I would drink it tonight.
Okay. Good. Do you have a big vintage variation?
What do you mean by vintage variation? Oh yeah,
with the climate.
Yes and no. Normally no, not so much, but I mean, of course it's increasing with the last vintage we have. Because everything, not just, I mean, the vintage effect in the wine is just the result of all the rest. And everything is so changing and deeply just the opposite of what it should be sometimes. Of course, we have vintage effects.
Do you think that it's correlated to the global warming? Do you see a lot of global warming in your area?
Yes. I think that we will have to live with it. I think it's just the beginning. I've understood that El Niño that was protecting us from too cold or too warm is not working anymore so well, so we can have really warm periods. I mean, in February we had 2 weeks at 25 degrees. It's not normal. And a week after we had snow, and it's not normal neither. For you it's normal, but for us, when we just have less than 1 centimeter of snow, everything is blocked here. Yes, of course, what was crazy this year, because of course it has been really cold in April, is that we had this snow just before, and well, the weather was quite cold, and again we had 2 weeks really warm that really made the vines and the small leaves go out, really, definitely. In 1 week, and we saw everything was going on and outside, and really we had -7 then, and this year it has been during 12 days, 12 nights. I mean,
and how did this go for you?
It's green.
Yeah.
Well,
so that survived?
No, actually not so much. And to be honest, I would not say that if it was just 1 year, but it's quite all the years. And actually, the worst is that lucky we were last year, not to get any frost because it was just at less than 1 degree that we could have lost everything. So I think so. This is also the way I would love to change also this estate. It's maybe the lowest parcels, maybe plant something else than the vines in order to protect and to get a new ecology balance also too on the estate, and maybe also to protect from the wind.
Yep.
And also to have smaller to protect, because having 75 hectares to protect is something quite impossible. Then you could ask, what is your favorite baby? So it's really difficult because you hope to protect the lowest ones, but actually even the highest ones are touched. So, and I can talk also for the neighbors. I saw. It's just that even all protections don't do anything on what should happen. I mean, if you have to get frost, you will have it. You can protect and bring any candle in your wine, in your parcel. And maybe, and it depends on each one, on each person, but the only candle that can help you is the one in the church, because when you are getting -7, I mean, you can't fight. It's impossible. So yes, there is a global warming, because since then it's raining like so much. We never had. It's good, actually. It's good for all the agriculture because everything is drying and drying. So of course it's good, but it's just that it shouldn't happen right now. I think also in Saint-Nicolas-de-Bourgueil, they had hail. I don't know if you saw the images. It's just crazy, and it's for the east part of the Loire Valley. They are having strong hail, like in Vouvray also, since 10 years now. It's not just a hazard. It's just every year. So I think something has begun. I'm not beginning in a cycle. I think it's going to go that direction. There are probably solutions that are going to last really a lot. Maybe changing the roots of the vines we have, but I mean, dying on it will maybe take 20 years. We plant them. Well, I'm not sure it's going to be my generation. Cutting the vines also, people were saying that cutting the vines later, it's working. Okay, but when you have 75 hectares, then you just get one month to do this. Having something a bit shorter.
Well, how many people do you have in your team?
Sorry?
How many people do you have in your team working 75 hectares?
Not enough. Let me. For the entire year, we are 5, and normally we have people working in the vines more with us. We don't get this year because it's not really needed, but normally we are around 9.
Okay.
It's not enough. It's not enough. Well, it should be more. Well, 2 people more would be great.
Okay. And during harvest, how many people would be at your estate during harvest?
We are just 15 because we are mostly harvesting by machine. The advantage that we have is that around the press of the Château du Coing, we have maximum 15 minutes by tractor from the parcel to the press. So this is also the historical implantation of Muscadet. In Burgundy, for example, they have really wines in different spots and villages, and they can sometimes do 2 hours of tractors. And it's the weather by us is a bit more fresh too. So it's mostly done by machine. So we're not so much. It's more in the cellars than that. So we are more people working for the harvest.
And when would be your normal harvest time in your area?
When?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What?
I hope 22. I hope. I don't know. I'm not doing the weather, so I can't decide of this.
No, but it will be in September normally, or?
Oh yeah. Well, normally it should be 10th of September, but because it's really cold, I think it will be around the 20th of September this year.
Okay.
It's really, and moreover because it's really humid, so it's quite good. We don't get so much disease because it's humid and quite cold too. Yesterday morning it was just around 13 degrees. It's really cold. So it's stopping and it's slowing the growth. But also what can stop is last year we thought we could harvest middle of August, as it has been so dry that the mist of water blocked the grapes. So it's just when we had a little bit of rain end of the month that then we could harvest. So normally we will harvest, I think, third week of September around.
I am very impressed with how long and how well your wines age. So if I should buy some wines now that I want to keep for, let's say, 10 or 15 years, what would you recommend me to buy?
You can buy the Cru, Monnier Saint-Fiacre and Gorge. They have a potential of aging of 20 years. Minimum, then just can invite me to taste the wine with you. and I'll tell you. Then again, the Don Quichotte and the Saint-Hubert. We currently sell the Don Quichotte 2013. That still can age. The Saint-Hubert for the 2018. It's good also to age. You also have to know that wine aging is like us. It's not better and better in our life. Sometimes it's better. Who knows? It's just when you will have maybe 80 years or 100, I don't know, that you will know which age is the best for you. And the wine, it's the same. It means that some people are really not used for really aged Muscadet or aged wines, because actually all whites will tend to the same kind of aromas. It can be when they are 20, 25 years old, Muscadet have kind of mushrooms and kind of earth breath smell. So it can make you change. You cannot be used to taste this. If you taste, for example, the 13 of Don Quichotte, it's beginning to be a middle. So you have the butterness, not bitterness, but butterness, the roundness, but still the freshness. You begin to have exotic aromas, but it's really elegant. I mean, it's long in mouth, but the nose is really present, but the minerality is still here. And even when you look at the color of the wine, you don't get any oxidation at all. So then the time of aging depends on each one, on each person, but making it age just 10 years, it's good, it's nice. And then you can do it at home, and it's funny also to do this because it's just when you will have finished the box that you will know when the wine was best.
Absolutely. I'm very fascinated with this, like capturing this specific time in a bottle and to see how it is when you open it. It's really fun. Before we finish, because we have already used our hour, I would like if maybe Hidden Thomas could put up the beautiful picture of your chateau again, because you actually have a real castle. Not everybody have that.
No.
Could you tell us a little bit about the estate? Like how big is this castle? How many rooms do you have?
Well, this is also the question people always ask me. So, but I still don't know the answer. I'm just personally living in a small part of it. Well, this is a castle that is just in front of the river. Just next to the tree and at the bottom of the photo. Well, in this chateau, it forms kind of U, yeah. On the left part, this is all the cellars. The middle part in the front, this is the living part, quite huge. And on the right part, it used to be the agricultural part. For cows and etc. So of course we are stopping this thing, but actually not so much. And now we rent it for weddings. Well, for weddings or anything you want. It's just we are renting it. And then a bit more on the right down, you have other places for where we are bottling and where we are labeling and working. But this is a castle that has been destroyed during the Vendée War, has been rebuilt beginning of the 19th century also in an Italian style. Maybe we don't see it so much on those photos, but the small 2 towers on the front have been added, and we have also pigeon tower and horse buildings and coast buildings.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. But we are getting some goats this weekend in front of the castle, so it's making it alive a little. I'm not going to make milk, but can be a new evolution. No.
Maybe it's compost for your vineyards.
Oh yeah. Well, so they're arriving this weekend, so it's making it more alive and then just easier to entertain also. So yeah, I think well, also what I wanted to finish with, you saw the confluence. It's quite difficult to get all the slopes but what I wanted also again for summarizing is that we are working with a unique grape variety. Melon Blanc is a grape variety you don't find nowhere else or fast. As Chardonnay is maybe more universal. So this is really a specificity. The aging on the lees is really important again. So I spent some time and some minutes on it. So but this is really specific on Muscadet and well, this is really important. And also you understood we are more keen on terroir wines. You have different kind of wines on 7,000 hectares. You can't have the same Muscadet everywhere. And moreover, you have different types of vintners also. So you have a real patchwork of Muscadet. So we really need to communicate. I mean, all the vintners doing the same. We need to communicate this direction. And also we are promoting, of course, a great variety of terroir, but it's a global ambience, I could say. The Muscadet area is really rich of beautiful landscapes. We are around a river. Like the Loire Valley, we are not only next to the Loire, but next to the Sèvre and the Maine that are really making all the landscapes and the slopes and the stones of the soils. We are having also a specific gastronomy and not only oysters, but from hunters and cheeses and from the river fishes. And so there is something a bit more complex than that, than just the easy looking in the bottle. And we really promote this architecture, this lifestyle, being curious also, because in the Muscadet we really receive people at the estate, and it's touristic but not the way of other places. You really see the real sellers, you really see the real people working in it. It's a true vineyard, so you really need also to visit if you can. And if you want to come, we will really be happy to receive and to show you all of that. Thank you.
Fantastic. We got a question here from Anne if she could come and see you.
Yes.
You can arrange with Runar.
You sent an email at, even on our website, you have a form, and you just, it's just that we are closed on Sunday. Then you can just come.
Perfect. I would love to come. It looks absolutely amazing, and I haven't been to see you, so I will put that on my list to do. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been very interesting.
Thank you so much for inviting me here. And I wish you really a nice summer, nice tastings. And I would say, what would you drink tonight? Maybe a Saint-Hubert. You would think about what I'm going to drink tonight too.
Oh, yes. I will go see what I can find downstairs.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And good luck with the rest of the season.
Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes, tusen takk for at dere fulgte med oss I dag. Nå skal vi ta sommerferie, som jeg nevnte før vi startet. Men vi har tenkt oss en sesong 2, og det tenkte vi skulle starte opp I september, den 6. september, nærmere bestemt. Jeg har lyst til å velkomne The Hidden Thomas on stage, for han har jo vært med hele sesongen, men ingen har sett han. Så jeg synes at du har gjort en strålende jobb, Thomas, og takk for all hjelp.
Tusen takk. Det har jo vært morsomt med 21 timer med Vinsnakk.
Ja, ikke sant? Vi har lært oss en del, du og jeg, tror jeg.
Vi har lært mye. Det en bratt læringskurve fra episode 1 og frem til nå, I hvert fall.
Ja, ikke sant? Og hvis dere som ser på har lyst på flere Vinsnakk, så send oss gjerne en melding på Facebook eller på e-post eller sånn at vi vet at dere har lyst, selv om vi nå, når høsten kommer, forhåpentligvis ikke skal ha så veldig mye koronarestriksjoner å ta hensyn til. Så hadde det vært veldig hyggelig å høre fra dere. God sommer alle sammen, og tusen takk for nå. Ha det!